First finals ever with opposing triple-doubles. LeBron James tied Magic Johnson's all-time record with his 8th finals triple-double. Curry gets his very first postseason triple-double, let alone the NBA Finals. And now we shift venues back to Cleveland, where the comeback started this time last year. How much has to change for them to get back in this series?
Well, I think the only thing that could change for Cleveland is, again, they have to find some kind of answer for Durant. And you know, last year when both teams went small, LeBron James was the biggest player on the floor.
Right.
So therefore, he was able to dominate. Now when the team size down and they take their centers off the floor, Kevin Durant is the biggest player out on the floor. He's the tallest player out on the floor. So thus you have the 5 blocks. Thus you have the rebounds. Thus you have the points, so forth and so on. Now James is able to get his, but Durant is able to neutralize that and match it. And then you throw in on the other side for Durant, Thompson and Curry, and that's the difference.
And what's interesting, too, is, I mean, Isaiah is so right. Durant defensively, his length, his size, but the rest of the team, they can shrink the court. And LeBron or Kyrie, they see 5 sets of eyeballs when they're making their move, but they're also athletic enough to close out to the shooters. Fantastic at getting out to the shooters, running them off three-point line. And Cleveland didn't attack the closeout. They just kind of, you know, sidestep, settle for shots. And so just a collective team defense, how they swarm the floor and make everything difficult for Cleveland has been so impressive. Now, going back home, you know, Cleveland's just going to have to be more aggressive. They're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to take it to them, for 48 minutes. You know, it's a little bit different, obviously, when you're on the road now for Golden State.
Right.
Maybe the calls are a little bit different, the atmosphere, the environment. But this is obviously a must-win for Cleveland. They got to lay it all out there. And LeBron needs some help. Some of these guys got to step up and be productive for LeBron James.
I was going to say, maybe those secondary scorers can step in. Cavaliers were just 8 of 29 from three-point range, and so many of those opportunities are created by James.
Yeah, my old school brand Nubian, my hip-hop fan, Slow Down. There was a record I used to listen to. They have to slow down. No question. Slow down. Because the game, when they do slow it down, they like to switch, Golden State. So you set a pick and roll, Steph Curry and Kevin Love sets the pick, they'll switch it. And they'll have Steph Curry guard Kevin Love. And if you slow the game down, you can take advantage of it. But what happens a lot of times, because they shoot so quick, they give you some wide open, quick shots. And you have to have the discipline enough to say, we won't take this one because we don't want the pace to be at this. Even though we can make this shot, or if we miss it, the pace becomes too quick. And we just slow down, and we're going to punish you because you really can't guard LeBron when he's in that situation, and you can't switch on Kevin Love, and all of a sudden you cannot isolate and hold Kyrie Irving. But in transition, it's easy to guard him because you're not really guarding him. You're just saying, you shoot one, I shoot one. You shoot one, I shoot one. And that's what's happening right now.
Golden State has been great at luring teams into for 3 years now.
Yeah. And they have to be disciplined. 18 three-pointers made and 34 assists for Golden State. You have to limit that. Kenny is so right. You got to slow it down. You got to junk it up. You got to make them uncomfortable. You talk about pace. You got to play at a pace. Offensively, you got to move the ball, be deliberate every possession. Because if you get up and down the court, whether here, Cleveland, wherever, Chapel Hill, this Golden State team is going to go up and down.
I like
and play
that.
Well.
Before you go, Isaiah, too, because Golden State shoots threes in transition.
Yeah.
Cleveland shoots threes out of half court. They could shoot the same amount of threes, but they have to shoot them differently. They cannot pitch ahead threes. Those are not those shots. They're in and out, penetration in and out if you're Cleveland.
There's no real size on the Cleveland roster. That kind of went away when Andrew Bogut was hurt. Is there a rotation change, a lineup change ahead for the Cavaliers? They can't really go. There is no big lineup for the Cavaliers.
The problem is the unicorn. You know, Durant is the problem. There's no matchup in the game of basketball for him. And when he has the wing players of Curry and Thompson, see, we can talk about last year all we want, but that guy wasn't here last year.
Right.
So therefore, you can size down, you can match up, you can mismatch, so forth and so on. Now, when you get smaller, Durant is the tallest player out on the floor. Last year, when it was small ball, LeBron James was the tallest player. Okay, so you have the two best players in the game today in terms of LeBron James and Kevin Durant, and they really do equalize each other. When you look at the stat sheet, it's like they're both playing well, they're both getting triple doubles, but the difference is one has two flamethrowers on the opposite side of him, and Kyrie Irving has yet to get off because the gentleman that we had sitting here at the table, Klay Thompson, is one of the better defenders in the league.
Right.
When you talk about the two-way players, the top two-way players in the league, on the defensive side and the offensive side, you're talking about Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, LeBron James. Okay, well, Durant has all the answers around him, and you can't get small and you can't get tall, so what can you do?
You can say, there's nothing wrong with second place this year.
You know what? Timothy Mozgov is not walking through that door.